Hey everybody, that's the go-to word. Let's see. All right, everybody. Today we're going to talk about why I'm writing my book and basically my health and sharing my health story. So all of you know I had a transplant 24 years ago, and ever since right after the transplant, because there were a lot of complications and different things that happened, people always told me I should tell my story, share my story. It wasn't something I tried to do it when I was in the hospital. You know, a few people gave me journals, and I kind of wrote in them, but I never really got into it. A few months after, when I got home, I tried to get into it again, but I still wasn't ready. It wasn't until about a year after my transplant when I wrote to the donor's family. The way the process is, you're eligible to write to the donor's family after the first year of your transplant, and just say something, whatever you feel you want to say. Everybody's different. I honestly don't remember what I wrote, but I know I wrote a card, and it was not easy, but that's what I did. And around that time, I started trying to write down my story. At that time, I did do like a scrapbook, with pictures and certain stuff I have from that time. But I really didn't get back into the writing. But I was, when I would go to the hospital, I would go talk to patients who are waiting for transplant and other patients and their families. And that was something I really enjoyed. So that was always something that, my team would ask me to go do at times, and something I've done ever since I've got out. Ever since I had my transplant, I would talk to, patients and families, and I would go do different things for the hospital at times, and I always got a good reaction from people hearing my story. Always positive. So it's something that's always been in my mind that I should do it, or it might be a good thing to do. Let's see. Years later, I started getting into more personal development and more, just reading a lot more books, and it was always something that would come up, sharing your journey, sharing your story, and I always would go back to, I should go back and write a book, or just tell my story. I didn't really know. It wasn't set on a book, but, so, what do you call it? Years later, I ended up getting sick again. I had to have my tricuspid valve replaced about 5 years ago. And around that time, I was around 19 years post-transplant, and I finally really shared on my social media about my transplant. So people that knew me newer, they finally knew that I had a transplant, because a lot of people didn't know. And how do you say it? I was in the news a few times when I was in the hospital. So I shared some of the news stories, and I shared just stuff from back back when I was younger. And I got a good reaction from that. and I was really surprised on the reaction, to be honest. And then I started going back and meeting with patients that were, waiting for a transplant, and that's when it was just a big difference because of how many years I am post transplant. A lot of people, I think they had a better just knowing that somebody's been out, out that long. For myself, I only really thought in my head I'll live 5, maybe if I'm lucky 10 years. And I don't know how other patients feel, but I know that's how it was for me back when I was younger. And I would assume it was kind of like that for younger patients. Years ago, patients that had it years ago, like I did. And that's when I kind of really started thinking about writing a book, looking into it, contacting different people, buying other people's books that have told their story, and seeing like who their publishers were and different things. It wasn't until last year, about a year and a half ago, I actually found a publisher, and it's a self-publishing company, and I started the process. I hired them, and it's been an interesting journey, but it's been great. It's something that really brought up a lot of old feelings and old memories that I haven't thought about in so long. And a lot of that will be talked about in the book. Just so many, I was in the hospital for 7 months, and every couple of days there was always something new happening. It was just always something because how sick I was. And that's what the book's mostly about. Like right now, a lot of I'm also dealing with cancer, and I go back tomorrow to see the cancer surgeon and figure out when we're gonna have another, do the other surgery and whatever else they're gonna have me do. I'm assuming another CT scan, get some blood tests, get X-ray, maybe an ultrasound, but that's just what's going on right now. Also last year I did it was a social media like awareness for transplant with this lady that is in business class or business program that I'm in. Somehow we connected, and it was out in Temecula, and it was just a bunch of transplant patients. Everybody had different stuff. Transplant patients, caregivers, donors, family, and it was just a wide range of people who were talking, and it was really cool to see like all the different points of view. That's something that I'm looking into possibly doing again, but doing it myself, and I'm connecting with the people instead of me going to somebody else's event. Let's see. So I was, if anybody has any questions about what, how do you say it? What kind of, like how the process is, and what, the process of the transplant, or even the process of writing the book, leave it in the comments. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about. I am working on some one-on-one coaching sessions. They're going to be mindset breakthrough sessions. I'm going to talk more about that in the future. But it's basically helping somebody get clarity. We're going to talk about mindset and helping you kind of plan out, what you want to do, and that's something that I'm really working on right now, and I really want to help other people do too. So I'm going to be talking about that very soon. I'll probably be posting about it tomorrow also. But if anybody has any questions about that, the one-on-one mindset breakthrough sessions, direct message me and I'll get back to you. That's about it. it was kind of short and sweet. And then I'll give an update about how the doctor's appointment goes tomorrow. All right, have a good night. Bye.